Okay. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, we are on YouTube, but I have to click here.
Nice.
It's quite slow. Oh, here we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Academy of Astrology UK. I'm Rod Chang. Today, I invited special guest and one of my good friends, Fernanda Paiva.
Yay! Hello.
Hello. Yeah, hello, Fernanda. Okay, today is one of our special episodes. Because recently there is some transit, we really want to talk about it. And I think, to be honest, if you are our audience, if you follow our channel, I think you probably already know we talk about these two aspects from maybe February, because I think it's quite interesting. These two set of aspects, Mars Saturn conjunction and Jupiter Neptune conjunction, has important impact for this year. But today our perspective, our view will be focused on usually we have another group. We talk about mundane astrology, talk about political economy and society. But today, I think me and Fernanda, we want to focus on more like personal life, everyday's life, how these two aspects has impact to us.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, but you know what? I always feel guilty because I shouldn't say guilty, but it's like I like when I work with Alejo, and we beginning like very quickly, and we didn't think about to have a good introduction. I need to make a few episodes about knowing our friend, introduce you, introduce Alejo, introduce Christian to our audience, because they can know you a little bit better. But why not we started from you today, Fernanda? Yeah, the one thing we just talked about is like I think it was 2 years ago we know each other, and it's through Alejo because he invited us to form a chat group, right?
Yeah, there was a kind of an astrology group. So I met Alejo at the EMA in Cultural Astronomy and
Mm-hmm.
Astrology, and then we created this chat group, and that's how we met. I mean, it was the beginning of the pandemic, so we were all like in lockdown, and
Yeah.
so we were having all these virtual meetings and getting used to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we met.
Yeah. And I remember you and Alejo are like two, how should I say, it's two more motivate and push, just like leading the group and
Yeah,
to do the discussion. I'm usually it's like yeah.
yeah.
I've been pushed that time because I'm quite kind of lazy, and I still couldn't believe for first, I still couldn't believe, and I don't understand what I'm doing here, why I'm doing every Friday.
You
to be
committed.
yeah, to be honest, I think it's I just like I still don't know why I'm doing this. I just feel fun and interesting. To be honest, it's
Mm,
quite interesting, and most of podcasts I do it with my friends, and it's
mm,
like my way to catch up with my friend and a colleague every
yeah,
Friday. So
yeah.
which is interesting. But also, Fernanda, I want to know how you become astrologer.
Yeah. Well, I've been interested in astrology since I was a child, which I think is a regular kind of story for most astrologers. And then I studied history. I didn't think astrology could be a profession, or, I never
Mm-hmm,
thought I would become a professional astrologer.
mm-hmm.
But I just couldn't stop studying and reading about it. And so when I moved to London in 2008, I applied for Camberwell College of Arts because I thought I wanted to be an artist. And
Uh-huh.
when I got my rejection letter,
Oh
I kind of
yeah.
had to I sort of had to reassess my choices, and that's when I thought, all I've been doing, like, I haven't painted many pictures, I haven't drawn many, nothing. I don't even have a sketchbook, but all I've been doing these years is like reading about astrology, learning about the signs, learning about this
Mm.
and that. So I decided to take it seriously, and that was my Saturn return. Actually, it was right just before my Saturn return, and that's when I decided to do the London School of Astrology. So
Ah,
yeah,
okay. So
yeah,
wow, so that's a kind of an interesting way, because in the beginning you want to study art,
yeah,
and then suddenly just go to the astrology. That was
Exactly.
that was quite interesting. Yeah. So for what is your favorite area of astrology?
My favorite area.
Mm.
So I'm very mercurial and I
Mm-hmm.
really like information. I really like to learn new things, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm very fond of humanistic Western psychological sort of perspective in
Mm-hmm.
astrology, and I do a lot of personal one-to-one readings and
Mm-hmm.
natal chart readings as well. But recently, I've done a talk in on the situation in the Ukraine, and I actually really enjoy doing that kind of research as well. So I guess
Oh yes.
I am very curious and interested in a lot of information.
Mm.
I think most of my expertise is applying that to the individual, but I am very open into, learning these different, like astrocartography or,
Yeah.
all of these different sides as well also interest me very much.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know you because there's few time I think our audience definitely know you because you've been invited to do the presentation in Mundane Astrology for several times, and
Yeah.
all your presentation is fantastic. I adore them, especially I still remember the January. Remember, I think it's the February one, or January one. We talk about the lady falling from the sky. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was like, wow, so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
survival in the jungle. I remember that time. So,
Yeah.
well, I think definitely in the future, we will have more working together. I can
Nice.
expect. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
how about let's come back to today's topic.
Yeah.
Usually, we will talk about transit on the beginning of months. So, um, as I just say, there is a two set of aspect in April, and they're quite prominent and they have like a kind of a strong impact on us. So, what do you think about the first? I think is the recently Mars and the Saturn conjunct in the
Mhm.
I think it's 22 degree of the Aquarius, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's it. You're right.
yeah.
22 Aquarius, and I think it's a square to the lunar nodes as well, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Both planets have square to the lunar node, so we can definitely feel it, I think. How about I share a little chart so we can,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we have
visualize?
visuals. Yes,
Yes.
good idea.
Okay. Should I move a little bit back to on the daily conjunct, I think? Maybe just
Yeah,
roughly very
yeah,
close to that time, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. I think
There
it's
you go.
about a couple days ago, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Here.
5th of April. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, here we are. So, how do you see this conjunction? I know for a lot of astrology, especially for the traditional way, they will see this chart as a quite important chart because the Mars Saturn conjunction in the ancient mundane astrology is
Mm-hmm,
also related to like what how we see today, how we see the Jupiter Saturn conjunction. So for
mm-hmm.
them, this kind of a 2 year meaning of it. But I think today we probably just focus on now and recent
Yeah.
event or how we feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, the fact that Mars Saturn conjunction is square the nodes, it does have a kind of a karmic feeling.
Mm-hmm.
My perspective is not as much on evolutionary astrology, but I have dabbled a little bit on it, and I know how the nodes are very important for karmic astrology.
Mm-hmm.
And in my observations, the nodes are very sensitive points, and they do represent some kind of collective growth that we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of going through. So I really think that that Saturn Mars conjunction there is has a kind of a karmic feeling to it.
Ah.
Um, the way that I see, like from a more empowering way, let's say, like you were mentioning in ancient astrology and everything, like it's like the two malefics and the
Mm.
two very difficult planets meeting in the sky. Well,
Yes.
I think when I see Saturn Mars conjunction, I think about martial arts, for example, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
a possibility to really narrow your willpower and to really focus your energy into something. So it is a time to focus onto something. It's not about scattering your energy all around or
Mm.
trying too many things at the same time, but to kind of decide what's the most important thing that you want to be doing and kind
Yes.
of get on with it.
Mm.
I think this is one of the most positives that we can
Yeah.
think of when Mars and Saturn are together.
I like to share something, but I definitely very interesting about the karmic view you're talking about
Mhm.
because I'm not really qualified, or I say I don't usually focus on this side of astrology, but I really interesting and want to hear about how you see it. But I want to, as another part you say about focus on something, it's not that you scouting around, but you focus on something. I definitely have a personal experience recently,
Mm-hmm.
which was during the last couple day from last week. So while Mars is kind of approaching
Mm-hmm.
Saturn, then I decided to take a kind of a online course, very short online course, or could be very long, but which is very difficult to learn how to use a software, how to use a precise image editing software, and that
Right.
is so difficult for me. To be honest, you, there's a lot of friend who are very good in art. You, Alejo, or some other friend, they are very good in art. But I have to say, I have to admit, art and me, we don't know each other very well. Usually, you can see if when I see you guys do the presentation, beautiful PowerPoint, I will oh my god, they are gold. My best friend Christian Conning, he's a god
I mean,
of
he's the expert. My
he's
God.
the god
Like
of a
a journey.
PowerPoint.
It's so beautiful. But he's got so many planets in Libra, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
beautiful. It's
yeah. And
stunning.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. But I was learning to do some image editing course. And for me, that's a huge challenge. I was sitting there whole day and just learning basic idea
Mm-hmm.
about image editing, about how to do it from beginning. And it's not a fast track. No, it's a very slow thing. So I can definitely feel that when
Yeah.
Mars, Saturn approach each other and how you do it, because at the same time in Asia, in China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, I have started a fundamental astrology class from this week. Then first things I told my student is my experience of Mars Saturn conjunction. You have to, the class start at that time, so you have to, be very grounded, and
Mm.
you have to be very patient. Do it
Yeah.
slowly. So I think this
Yeah.
is, I really enjoy this your interpretation
Mm-hmm.
about Mars Saturn conjunction in everyday's life.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit more about the karmic side,
The karmic
or
side.
how you see it.
Yeah. Well, I'll think about the axis of the Taurus and Scorpio as well, which is
Hmm.
where those two nodes are. And I think what they have in common um, is to be highly involved, either with physical passion from, I mean, both of them are involved in physical passion, but I think the Taurus coming from the very earthy, the realm of the senses and the material sort of life, material embodied side of life, and a Scorpio coming from the emotional as well. I see that Mars Saturn as an apex to the opposition, kind of bringing a reflection between the two, or almost like it's like midpoint, isn't it?
Yes,
C
yes.
square is like a midpoint between the opposition. So I
Yeah.
think during those days, like during that week, when we have that aspect such as in strong orb with the nodes, it's almost like because it's in Aquarius as well, we can kind of tap into some insight about
Mm,
what we need to do, our way out from that opposition as
mm,
well. Or insights as well, for example, because I really think about that South Node in Scorpio as, part of our journey is to let go of unnecessary drama. So
okay.
South Node in Scorpio, we kind of moving towards that North Node in Taurus as well, in a way. I mean,
Mm.
I do believe that the axis needs to be balanced. I don't think it's just let go of one and move completely to the other. But
Yes.
yeah, but I do feel like with that aspect of the South in Scorpio, that has something to do with letting go of past traumas,
Mm.
old wounds, old resentment as well. I think they're quite retentive. They're all fixed signs. But I feel that Mars Saturn in that sort of karmic aspect of letting go of old wounds and etc. is kind of enabling you to direct your anger a little bit more as well, and to be a little bit more constructive with it from a
Mm.
more positive, from a more positive
Mm.
perspective on it as well. Be more eloquent with it is an air sign as well. Be a little bit more detached from all of the
Ah.
passions and stepping a little aside from it. I feel that there could be a flavor connected to that as well.
I think I totally get what you mean in this, that when you consider the nodal axis in Taurus and Scorpio, because they are pretty intense. These both sides sign are pretty intense and try to hold something. All the fixed signs try to hold something.
Yeah.
However, like you say, in Aquarius, there's the feeling of detachment. Maybe that's the way how we start the recent event. How we start to build our another, build our future, or to try to be practical.
Yeah.
Somehow in this kind of intense environment, and we have to learn a little bit more detached, so we can have a fresh start in Aquarius.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, even the fact that Mercury was in Aries and it's ruled by that Mars as well. So we have that mini stellium in Aries there. And it's kind of like, we have that new moon in Aries conjoin that Chiron as well a little bit before.
Yes.
And I feel that it speaks of healing our individual wounds somehow, and like being able to speak what you want in a situation. And that Mars Saturn kind of related to that somehow. Mercury coming to sextile the Mars Saturn. And so we can speak more clearly about what we want, but in a sort of detached way. Like you don't need to necessarily, create more drama.
So let me summarize a little bit more what we just talked about, and we will move to the Jupiter and the Neptune conjunction. So basically, what we're talking about is this Mars-Saturn conjunction in 22-degree Aquarius. Fernanda's view is like we also see the node because they are they are T-square with this nodal axis, or they are all in both square, the south node and north node. And there is like one side is a karmic feeling. And when we're going to see the Mars and Saturn, we probably need to step away or to be a little bit detached about it. Try to, to make it work. This is very interesting view. But how about, because I think it's around early next week, then we will have this every 13 years. Every 13 years, Jupiter conjunct Neptune. Last week, but I shouldn't say last week, last month, we have our another speaker. We have Karen Devlin talking about the from the mundane side view of the Jupiter Neptune conjunction. Was a wonderful talk. It's still the video is still on our channel. So if you missed that one, please go to search it and you will see that it's a wonderful talk. But today, Fernanda and I, we decide to go from the personal and the individual approach to see this set of aspects. But first, I think you have an event, right? You and Alejo had an event about this subject. So before I totally forget, why not we talk about
the very Neptunian?
I know. So what is this event?
Yeah, sure. So me and Alejo, we have this little project together called the Out of Bounds Astrology podcast. So we've been doing a podcast together, and then we decided to create this workshop together as well, which is meant to be a little bit more hands-on. So that's why we're calling a workshop rather than a lecture. So we're looking into that Neptune Jupiter conjunction in more depth. We decided to do a small group so we can really place into people's charts and really discuss personal charts and personal placements. We're going to do active imagination. We're going to work with imagery as well a lot more, and I think it's really suitable for the Jupiter Neptune in Pisces, like doing something that's somehow more imaginative rather than just a lecture, just someone teaching something. So it's something about it's a kind of a journey. It's meant to be a journey of discovery that we're kind of going to be guiding the people and sharing with the people as well. So it will be on Wednesday, the 13th of April. So the day after of the exact conjunction, which would still be pretty much within orb. And the goal of the workshop is to really get the people to set their intentions, because I'm a firm believer that whenever there is a new beginning and the beginning of a new cycle, which a conjunction represents, you kind of have an opportunity to set some intentions and to
definitely
yeah.
yes. I think when you talk about on the 13th is after the conjunction, but to be honest, like you say, it's the new beginning. It's not too late to talk about it. It's not too late to learn about how this is going to have an impact on you. And I really enjoyed the way you and Alejo say you're going to use a little bit more imagination and rather than lecture, you do the workshop to working together. Because somehow I think this aspect, these two planets are very intangible. So if you really give it a verbal talk, a lecture, or even write it down, somehow it's kind of a challenge. But so if our audience are interested about this workshop, how could they participate?
Sure. So they can send us an email to, and we need to change our emails because we're always confused. So the email address is astrologyfortheoutcast@gmail.com. And then we can give all the details. It will be a Zoom link. Will be on Wednesday the 13th between 6:30 in the evening and 8:30. So 2 hours, but with a break in between and everything. Yeah. So send us an email.
I already post the email address out. I hope if you're interested, please contact Alejo and Fernanda for this wonderful workshop. It will be so interesting to see what you can get from that, this kind of intangible. So let's talk about, we are not going to step into your workshop, but what our audience can expect about in their everyday life, what they can get from Jupiter and Neptune conjunction.
Jupiter and Neptune is such a wonderful, I don't know, obviously there are shadows as well involved with Jupiter and Neptune, like any aspect in astrology, in the chart, or any transit as well. But there is something quite, I don't know, quite baffling, because they're both the rulers of Pisces, and they're really strongly placed in Pisces and meeting each other as well. So there's something really inspiring. And I think Neptune, Jupiter at best, because Jupiter, whatever Jupiter touches, in my perspective, it will really emphasize the other planet, because Jupiter is that really large planet. So it really emphasizes the planet that it touches. So the energy of Neptune will be really emphasized. But I really think about Neptune, Jupiter, and Pisces at best bring inspiration into your life. It is about bringing back the inspiration. Jupiter, Neptune at worst, escapism, trying to transcend reality, but in a less desirable way, through, I don't know, losing control or drugs or being confused, or all of the other sides that Neptune and Jupiter can be representing as well. But I really feel that this could be really reigniting the inspiration in each person's lives. I see the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction as, kind of encapsulated in the image of the wishing well. So I feel that's really important to place that into your chart, know where that's falling, know what that's activating your chart, because you can wish, you can really throw that token there into that spring, into that magical spring, and start something beautiful, as a new cycle, and bring back some inspiration into your life, into your reality. Yeah. What do you think about that Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, Rod?
I to be honest, I agree with you, and the best way to apply it is to focus on those inspiration. I really like the idea, because I think when we try to interpret astrology, easily we can go very negative. Oh, bubbly. Oh, irresponsible, or too dreamy. There's nothing too much. There's only how you apply it. So I agree. The best way to apply Jupiter Neptune, this set of aspect, is to inspire yourself. But what I see is the have you noticed it also set the midpoint of a Saturn and the Sun?
Oh wow! Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
haven't noticed that. That's
yeah.
very interesting.
So it is very interesting. This, if I'm going to, I will add this something because you are already built up this beautiful conjunction there. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give a little bit both what should I say, the little bit more information about how we going to build it up, or how to
Mm-hmm.
avoid problem, because I shouldn't say that how to avoid the problem, but there is, because but either side has like semi-sextile.
Mm-hmm.
So in one side there's semi-sextile, this Jupiter Neptune semi-sextile with Saturn, and
Mm.
in another side semi-sextile with the Sun. So
Mm-hmm.
it's given us a, what should I say, remind, a little remind, say, okay, you get your inspiration, but be practical too. Because
Yeah.
if you start to feel like I don't know what to do, then bring it down, bring back to the reality, how you're
Mm.
going to start it. And also, this dream could be very big. This
Mm.
dream could be very great, because we know the Neptune and Pisces is beyond yourself and
Mm-hmm.
beyond the everyday's life. So the Sun in Aries remind you, in the end of the day, you still have to focus on yourself.
Mm. Yeah.
So yes, dream big, dream
Yeah.
beautiful, dream for the future, and get inspiration. But when you start it, don't forget here we have Saturn and the Sun to try to help you
Mm.
to make this dream, they say, come true, to get, to start with it. So
Yeah.
this is how I see this Jupiter um, Neptune, apart
Yeah.
from mundane astrology side. Another
Yeah.
thing I like to say is the position is very interesting because it align with a fixed star in Pegasus.
All right.
Yeah, called Macab,
Uh-huh.
which is on the Saturn of the horse,
Uh-huh.
Pegasus. So we know the Saturn of the horse is like where you sit comfortable and stable. This is how Benedict Brady interpreted about this fixed star. Yes, you have like a freedom to move. You have like a inspiration. It's interesting. This fixed star is about inspiration. It's about freedom to move and move fast, but it also brings you stability.
Mm.
So I really feel like interesting. The position that they align with this fixed star, and the whole meaning can put it together from Jupiter Neptune and from their semi-sextile with Saturn and
Mm-hmm.
semi-sextile with the Sun. It's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also trying the South Node as well, isn't it? And
Yes.
then also
Yes.
is another of these, the first was a square, the Saturn Mars conjunction was a square, the nodes. Now the Jupiter Neptune is trine and sextile. And
Mm,
I do feel that that could be healing potentially as well, which is
mm,
another emphasis, is like two water signs and
I
um,
agree.
letting go of the past,
Hmm.
because the South Node has that kind of representation as well of the past and
Yes.
past traumas, especially because it has Scorpio there. So
Yes.
kind of letting go of past traumas as well could also be part of the picture.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think I like it when we put it together. I think it's so interesting. They are very close. When we talk about Mars Saturn, they are 22 degree.
Mm-hmm.
And this Jupiter Neptune, they are at 23 degree. And the
Yeah.
node is always at 22 degrees. So everything going to, put it together. Maybe they didn't really see each other, but I think this can. I don't know. I'm always a mundane astrologer. I can always bring back to society, but I
Yeah.
try not to. But
Yeah.
what we see is they like at this moment in our society, there's a lot of there's a lot of an issue, either related to war or related to the economy.
Mm,
People feel like people facing a difficult challenge and difficult life, and
mm,
also bring back to a lot of trauma
yeah.
before, like what happened in Ukraine, Russia, and East Europe.
Mm,
Bring back the memory in 80s, or
yeah.
before USSR dissolved those life,
Yeah.
or we can hear a lot of our maybe our relative elder generation. They're talking about war, Second World War or something. So
Yeah.
all these things has been brought out, like you say, the South
Yeah.
Node in Scorpio, those grief, those
Mm.
pain. And then, interesting, in the Mars Saturn way, they say, okay, be practical and, build up something else. But the Neptune and the Jupiter say, we have to also let it go or
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, release it. Forgiveness. I
Oh,
think it
yes.
really breeds of forgiveness as well. Like
I agree. Yes.
the
Yes.
individual life a lot, past family things or relationship things that you're still holding on. Perfect time for you to let go of.
Yeah.
Perfect time for you to write a little letter of like, thank you, you've done this and this, and burn it and move on. I think this is a great time to do that.
This is so interesting. Just before we start, I was browsing on Facebook, and I couldn't remember which artist talking about this, talking about in her 40. She say, what women in their 40 should tell themselves, you done well. You should start to have a little bit more about yourself. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And when you talk about that, I say, this is really, this kind of major theme at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Do a little ritual. Take like surf these energies, like take a ride with it and like do the best that you can do with it. That's how I feel. And I think it's best time for you to let go of resentment. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. That is really one thing related to these things. And the best way to use the Jupiter and Neptune, forgiveness and the let go of those resentment. Wow, I think this is so much. Even this just like a very simple discussion about the recent transit. But I think if you carefully to listen and if you carefully to think about what is your recent experience in your life, it is very rich and very helpful. I speak for myself, to be honest. Just
but
for
I
myself.
agree, yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. And it's like, wow. So I think this April is very, 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 very busy because we have like two major conjunction. And then soon we will have eclipse.
Yeah.
By the end of a month. So I mean, if even from mundane astrology to personal astrology, I think we have a lot of things to discuss during this month. And so I was repeat again on 13th, right? 13th of April for your workshop. On the 13th of April, what time?
Between it's 6:30 UK time, 6:30 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. So it's a 2-hour workshop. A small group. Send us an email on astrology for the outcast.
Yeah, I already posted the email on the group. So then later when I editing this clip, I will also put the email there. And so we will have the workshop as Alejo, two of my good friends. Alejo, I wouldn't dare to say best friend, but yes, nearly there. Two of my good friends. Yeah, two of my good friends. Alejo and Fernanda has a workshop about Neptune and the Jupiter, and it's a very unique approach to talk about this set of aspects. And then, well, before we say goodbye, I want to do a little bit of advertising. Next week, Alejo will be here. We will talk about the chart example. We will use a one audience chart and to practice how to read planet inside. So it's for the beginner. It's our special program called Astro Night Live. That's the next week on the 15th of April. And on the 22nd, this is always confused because I changed the time. So a lot of our panelists say, when is our Worldscope Mundane Astrology?
Neptune in Pisces, exactly. We're all confused.
Well, I say because of Easter holiday, so I moved to 22nd of April. So, okay, remember to come back. I think because quite unique, our Worldscope Mundane Astrology discussion, because from audience and even for the panelists, we all really enjoy like a shared different view to talk about what happened in our world and from mundane astrology view. And by the end of the month of the at the 29th of April is our special program. Let's talk about fixed star. So me and the Christian Cunning, we will talk about a fixed star and then to tell you the story and how to apply the astrology. So this is our following program. And on the 8th of May, I think so. I think it's 8th of May. Our AOAUK's Marcus and the Monday and the Sue will come back to talk about the transit and the new moon and full moon. So thank you, Fernanda. This is so interesting to share a different view about the Mars Saturn conjunction and the Jupiter Neptune conjunction, and it brings so much. So especially I myself have a lot of idea, to be honest, inspiration, and especially when you say letting go and doing some ceremony. I really love that idea. Thank you so much.
Nice.
By the way, you do a lot of reading and the personal work.
Yeah.
So if our audience want to contact you, where they can send an email to you?
Yeah, so they can email on astrofern@gmail.com. They can also find me on my website, fernandapaiva.co.
Okay.
And I'm all over the social medias as well. I have a YouTube channel as well, which I'm kind of beginning with. And it's all called Hitchhiking Stars.
Hitchhiking Star. I love that name.
Me too, just Hitchhiking Stars, like taking a ride with the stars.
I think it's nice, it's nice and easy and a really comfortable way to approach to understanding about astrology, to do the personal work with you. So thank you, Fernanda, and thank you for our audience to watching today's program. And don't forget, next week, me and Alejo will have our chart example work on the, I think it's let me confirm the data. You know, I have Mercury in Pisces. I better be careful. 15th of April. Okay. Bye. See ya. Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Okay, just let me stop.